Hey guys, welcome back to Radical Living Podcast. Just want to say a massive thank you to Tony O'Neill, who is a fat loss education coach and nutritionist. I absolutely loved our conversation. I hope that there are moments where you have realization, there are moments where you're challenged and inspired, but there are also moments where you have a little giggle and a laugh at what me and Tony share together. Tony chats about his journey throughout his life and how he's ended up with his partner Jen to start the female way. We also chat about key questions surrounding comparison and how we can influence others. We talk about what it means to be radical. We chat about breaking the diet stigma, and we also talk about how our world today is so focused on short-term success that we have somehow lost our patience. We chat about being ourselves, and I just love what Tony and Jen are trying to do to inspire people to be healthier. This is part 1 of 2, so tune in a couple of weeks' time to hear more from Tony, but we hope that you are inspired by what he has to share.
Just take me through briefly your journey as like a personal trainer, and then Tony and Jen's and how that fits into what you're now currently doing, which is the female way.
Okay, so personal training started a long time ago. So I originally went to Stranmillis University
Okay.
to become with the goal of becoming a PE teacher. And during first year, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and it kind of just threw me. It was a massive curveball, and I just didn't deal with it, and I couldn't deal with it. But as part of that first year, we were offered an opportunity to become a fitness instructor, and it was free of charge. And being the boy from the New Lodge, if you're ever given something free, take it twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did it. It was a bit of an endurance, truth be told. It was a few weekends back to back as a 19-year-old or whatever age I was then. The last thing you want to be doing is spending your weekends over at the PEC, learning how to become a fitness instructor. So that's how the whole personal training started. I dropped out of university, especially when my dad passed away. I had no real interest, and then I just started to work in a gym. And the first gym I worked at was the Arena in Finnegy, which is now Gymco. If you're familiar with that, just off Lisburn Road here in South Belfast, West Belfast. And it just grew from there. So 2004, that was September. I'll never forget it. So coming up to 17 years into September. And just years, moved into peak physique, more opportunities became available, started to study a little bit more, went back. I never actually undergraduated. I never got a degree, the way things worked out. But because of the mature student and my profile and all of that, I was able to apply for a master's degree through a university in America because of the head guy there was someone who ran a course called Precision Nutrition. I was just fascinated about how simple he brought together psychology and nutrition and the importance of it, of behavioral change, etc. And I graduated with that. And then I started to, 2012, Jen and I came, I met Jen in 2010.
Yeah.
Then 2000, again, that was actually through work. This is going to make me sound a wee bit creepy. But so it's not everybody's cup of tea at the moment, but in 2009, I started to work with Stephen Nolan. We did a couple of BBC documentaries together and all that. And one of them was from the sofa to the Belfast Marathon. So it was my job to go in and try and motivate and inspire people who are going from completely nothing into something. And the goal was the Belfast Marathon with 3 or 4 relay teams if you weren't capable of doing the full run. But Stephen Nolan was also a participant.
Yeah.
And I think Jen's editor really liked it, the idea of it, and fitness was starting to become popular, like more popular than just sports and aqua aerobics. And then Jen was a journalist at the time, so we were connected, and Jen did a bodybuilding show. So that's how I know Jen. So she went from someone who enjoys her nights out, enjoys a drink and all of that, to trying to go on stage in 12 weeks at a bodybuilding competition in Naba. And I trained Jen for it. And then that's kind of how we met. So at the end of all of that, Jen was absolutely, and then and we'll move on from that.
Yeah.
And let me see. So let me get my dates right here. 2011, she competed. Or was it 2010? Anyway, it was 2012. We thought that all these messages about healthy food, and because the whole bodybuilder experience, where it was just dry rice, broccoli, and chicken, things like that, to epitomize health and healthy eating. And Jen and I thought, well, what about a healthy cafe where there was nutrients and all that in food, but it wasn't as dry or boring like that? Went to our accountant, well, my accountant at the time, and it was Jen. Jen started to do tax returns through him, but he was a dinosaur and he just didn't get it. Jesse was like in his 60s, and he was just like, healthy food, nobody wants healthy food, shut up. So he talked us out of it, and then we decided, at that time I was saving up to open my own gym in Stromnellis, and my two business partners at the time, it just all didn't make sense, the dynamics of it, and my gut feeling was like, no, get out of it. So pulled the plug, get out of it. There was a few quid set to the side for opening the gym, so Jan was like, right, we're not going to open that restaurant, we're not going to open up the gym, what do we do? And then we decided to travel. So we started off Southeast Asia, because Jen's sister was there doing some stuff against human trafficking. We did some circuits and all that back home, and then we were able to provide them with money to try and help that. Sponsorship and fundraising. Went over, spent a bit of time there, and then we moved on to Australia on a one-way ticket.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a journey of that. Actually missed out the point that it was, whenever we decided that, I applied for a job in Hong Kong through a popular gym in London called Ultimate Performance. Hindsight, now I'm really glad I didn't get the job. But we had a one-way ticket to Hong Kong, and that was all part of it. That's what happened, and then we traveled on from there. Right, so where are we? Australia. During Australia was tough. We went from being these like local people who were invited out. This was before influencers became a thing, and because Jen was a journalist, she always got invites +1 to come out and just document it and give a wee snippet in the newspaper or whatever about the experience. And we went from all of that being really popular PT, like really busy, not personality, of course, because I wouldn't say stuff like that, but just, it was just really busy, 60-70 hours per week, face to face with people. And then you go away, and then just Australia was just really hard. It was just a complete ego check. It was just like, you were who you were with your support and your family and your friends and your lifestyle. And I played a bit of football and GAA and all of that, my outer circles, connections, and then you just remove all of that, and here you are in Australia, knowing absolutely nobody. So the first few months of that was difficult. We turned it around. We started to find work. We started to get busy. Then I was in a gym, and then I was personal training. And then I found myself one of the busiest PTs in the gym. And that was, hindsight now, was really self-gratifying. You think from like how difficult it was to, here, actually pulled that around, happy days. And then we just decided while we were traveling, here, let's go back and open up a restaurant. At that stage, Slim's had opened, and Gary's a good friend of mine, so he'll like to remind me every now and again that Tony and Jen's copied Slim's. Anyway, I've just told you the whole backstory behind it all. So look, we went back, and we eventually got it opened in 2015. There was a lot of issues. We were supposed to open in 14, a lot of issues with the unit that we picked, change of control and all that there. And yeah, we came back, we got stuck into the restaurant. 5.5 years later, COVID kicks in. And pivot, adapt, feel like Bear Grylls here, overcome. And so I've trained a lot of females over the years. I just naturally found myself researching female physiology, menstrual cycle, menopause, why hormones fluctuate, how to combat the fluctuations, how to make it feel better through any sort of severe cramps, migraines, all the PMS issues. And it was just through a conversation with someone who says, well, why do you not have like an online female platform? I was like, I don't know, that's a great idea, let's do that. So
here you are.
A lot of filming and all that, here we are. So that's what we're currently doing now. So from one-to-one personal training through the healthy restaurant, where we're trying to inspire people to eat better and all that, and it doesn't have to be dry and boring. We realize that it's very difficult to help people when you own a restaurant, because hospitality is just gruesome. It's just non-stop. It's insane. And it just didn't serve my personality or Jen's. Tony and Jen's was more like a Michelin star restaurant, the effort that went into it, compared to places like Starbucks, etc., that a customer will 50-50, go Tony and Jen's, no, there's a queue, we'll go to Starbucks. And I'm not that sad to be out of it. The only thing that was difficult is that there was some staff there that depended on the business operating to generate an income. But other than that, like Jen and I, it's good to get our lives back and go back to doing what we like to do, and that's to help people and inspire them to be healthier. And so here we are.
Here you are. Well,
now I need a pint of water after all that.
Get a wee sip.
Yeah, here we are. So it's been a busy 10 years.
It sounds like
11 years.
Yeah, and a lot of different places. But with that, Tony, like, I'm sure you've just gathered up so much knowledge and information and experiences and insight. And you were kind of sharing there about working with females, and like, I have to say, like, following you online, and I love your Instagram stories, but like, genuinely, they're like, I've learned so much about all of that stuff that I didn't have a clue like about any of that, like fluctuations and things like that. So you're doing a good job. Keep doing it.
Oh, thank you.
But
thank you. I appreciate that.
No, you're good. Kind of the next question then, Tony, is that this podcast is called Radical Living Podcast.
Okay.
And every guest I get on, they kind of share like what they think radical means. So for you, Tony, what would you say radical means to you?
So whenever I think radical, the biochemistry inside of my head is thinking free radicals and then exposure and energy and going off in tangents. And for me, then it's just to be yourself.
Yeah.
Because like in life, everyone is different. I think you're wearing a white hoodie or a grey hoodie.
Grey, yeah.
I'm wearing a summer salmon t-shirt.
I was gonna say, is that yep. Love it.
Modeled from ASOS, and then just like we Adidas jacket. So like everyone is different. You have different interests, you have different points of view, you have different backgrounds, experiences, different ways of doing things and getting things done. Therefore, just continue to be who you are, because in the world of social media, you're constantly exposed to how other people do things. Therefore, it becomes like a comparison game.
Yeah.
Rather than just a reflective game to think, oh, very great, okay, that's how they do that. I don't do that, but I respect that. And then they go about their ways. No, people just like to go on and they absolutely ridicule and troll if it's not the exact definitive way that they do things. Or if they disagree with it by 1 or 2%, they'll chirp in and they'll say something. Like Twitter is mustard for it. So everyone else is taking just be yourself. That's for me radical, is because everyone will bring a different color and a different palette and a different energy. So that's what makes the world what it is. Everybody being themselves.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I love that answer. I just think it's so, like what you said there, especially about social media, and like I think it's always been a silent killer, comparison, but I think even more now, like with all of the exposure in social media, it's just ridiculous. And you're just like, you see so many people and you just want to shake them and be like, just be you, like that's enough. So yeah, no, I love that.
Just off the back of what we were saying there, about just do stuff for you, what lights you up, who you want to become, and not what's popular because everybody else says so.
Yeah, exactly. That actually fits well into the next question, because I was going to ask you, Tony, like you were saying there, like the past number of years you've been involved in fitness and this journey of nutrition and studying and just gaining more like experience and insight. So you're really now into, and maybe you always have been, but really now into breaking that stigma of dieting. So I just wanted to kind of get you to explain why you're so passionate about that, and why now do you feel is the time to break that diet stigma?
It's probably my experience that I've tried certain ways and I've read literature and research on certain aspects, and it's all kind of coming together. So in 2018, there was a massive meta-analysis completed that actually showed that the key to fat loss or weight gain is a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus. That's like how recent. It was 2017 published, with through revision 2018 more conclusive. And so since then, it takes away the whole bodybuilder diets and all the other things that were going on that made you perceive that, oh, this is the only way to get an elite condition or top performing athletic condition or the best way for fat loss. So why do I do that now? Probably more exposure to it, and it like riles me a little bit where I'm thinking, no, you're taking people's money, or you're misleading them, or you're contributing to the statistics that diets don't work, therefore don't diet. Now, the diet definition is what we habitually eat.
Yeah.
You know, so for 2 weeks you could go completely ketogenic, and then in 3 weeks' time from now, someone says to you, okay, just show me your last 14 days of what your food is. And then they'll classify you as like a ketogenic sort of advocate.
Mm-hmm.
No, like, I don't know, it's a participant in that sort of eating philosophy. But yet they don't look at the years before that or the months before that. So my point here is that things like Weight Watchers and Slimming World, all that demonize calories is just wrong. If we flip the perspective, the science and what it's backing up, myself, I'm a little bit older, therefore hopefully a little bit wiser, a little bit more experienced, that no, this is my point of view and I stand by it. So maybe a wee bit stronger, more firm with words.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think what you're trying to do and what you are doing is like so important, because I think, I don't know, probably guys are the same, but like I definitely know for women, like, and even for me, like this whole like diet thing, it's just everywhere. Like everywhere you go, like online, if you're talking to people, it's like, you know, have you lost a little bit of weight? Have you put on a little bit of weight? Like, what diet are you on? And it's trying to, you know, we're talking about comparison and breaking stigma. It's trying to like pull away from that completely and be like, I just want to be healthy, and not get caught up in that cycle.
But that's what marketers' job is, isn't it? They touch on those pain points, those pressure points of where you're most vulnerable, where you're more conscious of. And I suppose when people come up to you and they say that, then that's going to increase the consciousness of it, and just that more awareness of what is going on. If you have put on a few pounds or you have dropped a few pounds, but yeah, like sometimes I would weigh my poo just to show that I just dropped 2 kg on the scales. Like if you wake up, and I've worked in gyms where girls have been in tears because they put on half a pound from the previous Friday.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't help. Like I've worked alongside some really, really good PTs, but also some really dreadful ones. And the way the poor PTs, they just regurgitate a bad message around scales, and it's like, no, you've messed about. Why are you not lower on those scales? Because in their head they're thinking, I need to get weight off you because then that's a good representation and reflection of me.
Transformation.
But all that. Yeah. But in saying that, how do you measure someone feeling healthy? So it's like interesting the female way what we're talking about. So in your head you're thinking, right, okay, people need this platform, and they really do. Like I really do believe in it. So how do you market it so that someone may be interested in trying that platform? And even though we know that they're going to get more confidence out of it, they're going to get more strength out of it, greater mobility, greater understanding of the female physiology, greater understanding of nutrition and how to thrive more rather than Christ diet and go around that binge eating cycle. How do you market that message over social media where you've got a 6 or 7 second attention span? So yeah, look, it is an interesting one, and why I do it is just that there just needs to be something there, and more people offsetting that. No, it doesn't need to be that difficult.
Yeah,
it needs to be, because a lot of PTs will either throw up a transformation pic, or they'll try and motivate you, and you need to take action and DM me to level up and bring your guinea pig too. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, give more practical advice behind the theory, like, or even give some theory, give something. But that's what I find. And there's a lot of business mentors out there now in this fitness business that everybody and their granny's neighbor is becoming, because it's my industry and I'm exposed to it more. My like reticular activating system picks up on it more, that there just seems to be a lot of these converted fitness business coaches. So
Yeah.
everybody is singing from the same hymn, and it just makes me want to throw up in my mouth
I know.
and catch it and throw it into the wind.
I know.
Like, it's just like, no, help people.
Yeah.
You're in this industry because you feel like you want to help people and you want to like make society a healthier place. So then use your platform to do that. I get people who DM me just to like, oh, do you train people one-to-one, or do you have like any availability to coach people online? And that's great because it's behind just putting stuff out there and giving people practical advice to act on, and then hopefully they can. And look, there are people who you'll give stuff for free and they will run with the hills, and they'll get so many. Is that even right? Run with the hills.
We'll go with that.
Frigate, just say there's a health sprint in their program. They've ran with the hills, and you know they get lots of like progressive development out of it. But then there's other people who will pay for it and they'll do nothing. They'll not act on it at all. It's about what we were saying about the female way there, is that it's just a shame that some people get into programs and groups and they just don't completely act on it and like really get into it, and it will become challenging. But to use a group as a support network and whatever else to overcome those challenges and make progress.
Yeah. Would you say, Tony, sorry, this is I'm just throwing this in here.
Nope.
Would you say your biggest challenge, like in what you're trying to do, would you say your biggest challenge is this like short-term mindset in people, and like they want a quick fix? Because people don't like long periods of time, like they want it now. And you see that like no matter who it is, if it's in fitness or if it's in life in general, we want it quick. So would you say that's your biggest challenge, trying to get people to hang on long enough to be like, look, this does work, but it just requires a little bit of patience and effort?
I think every time I answer a question relative to something with health and fitness and well-being, I'll always finish it up with, please be patient. It takes time. Like, people want to lose 2 stone in 6 weeks, but yet it took them 18 months to put the 2 stone on. And it's not necessarily the physiology or the energy balance of the whole metabolism, the metabolic function of what's going on. It's more about the habits and the habitual build up to it. You know, you put the body fat on, and I'm not saying that's like right or wrong, but it's relative to someone who says he had like to lose 2 stone in 6 weeks, which is quite a common not advertisement, not as much anymore, but people that used to post about that. You can lose up to 2 stone in 6 weeks. But it's just your mental fortitude towards it all takes time.
Yeah.
It really does take time. See a fluctuation on the scale. Oh, it's okay. I know I've eaten more carbohydrates, or there's more sodium in my food yesterday. Therefore, there's more water retention. And that means my total mass when I step on scales is a little bit heavier. It doesn't equate to body fat. And yes, and unfortunately, life is just going to become more and more faster. I don't think the way hipsters and all that there comes back around different seasons, I don't think patience will just come back around, where life becomes a little bit slower. It is good there's environmental changes taking place. However, I don't see it from a desire and a psychology point of view. I think life's just becoming faster and faster. And you can order your shopping, it's here tomorrow. If you pay the premium for delivery service, you can go on Amazon and get stuff. I've seen stuff arrive the same day. And if you order it early enough, and it's in the country. So people just want results. And it's just fast. And unfortunately, whenever personal trainers put stuff out there and they're in like, I wouldn't say desperate. Desperate's a harsh word, but it couldn't be bothered thinking of another word, so I'm going to use desperate. So desperate PTs will put out a message like that too. And if someone even DMs them saying, look, I've got a wedding coming up in 7 weeks, can you help me lose 24 pounds? If they need money, they're going to say yes.
Yeah.
They're going to say, yeah, I can do that. And instead of saying something like, look, 24 pounds is a bit unrealistic. We've got 7 weeks. Let's shoot for 16, 17, 18 pounds. See how things react. And even if you don't hit that, you'll still hit 12 to 14 pounds and they'll feel great about it.
Yeah.
Right, okay, D.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in again to Radical Living Podcast. Please make sure to check out Tony O'Neill's Instagram. It is tony.o'neill. You can find out all of his information and content, and even go and check out The Female Way. We hope that you were educated by this episode, and please tune in a couple of weeks' time to hear part 2 of mine and Tony's conversation. Please make sure to check out Radical Living on Instagram and Facebook, as well as our YouTube channel, to catch up on all of our latest episodes. Guys, we hope that you enjoyed it, and remember to be radical.